when people, you know, come to you, there is a way that you can make it a win-win for both sides. Hey everybody, my name is Lorraine Beato, and I'm an interactive person, so I would love for you guys to like turn on your cameras. And if you have any questions, feel free to just, you know, unmute and ask me your question. We've got people popping in, so I'm gonna wait for a little bit. I'm gonna give it about a minute and then we will get rolling. Let's see. Okay, that was Jake. I'm on my laptop, so I don't have multiple screens today. All right. Yes. Good morning, Lab Coat agents. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Somebody's looking to come in. You've got the screen. Okay, so you've got 3 people. You've got people to admit. Jake, you're good on that? I just let somebody in. All right, perfect. All right, well, I'm not going to hold you guys up because I know this is really quick. My name is Lorraine Beato. I am based out of Metro Atlanta, Georgia. And real quick, in 2019, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who, you know, was telling me she was going to have to sell houses until she was 70. And I mean, guys, come on, when's the last time you went to a retirement party for a real estate agent, right? Like it doesn't happen. So, anyway, I started my real estate investment journey back in 2013 when I kind of became the Atlanta agent for this group. Yes, I spent the $30,000 to attend a boot camp. And I became the point person here in Atlanta just by posting information that I knew. Being an agent, having been an appraiser, you know, I'm also a mortgage loan officer. I do hard money. I've been entrenched in the real estate space for 30 years. And I was walking out of the closing table. These guys would buy a property. They never saw it. You know, they trusted my judgment. They would buy a property sight unseen. I managed the renovation, and then I created my own listing inventory. So that was fabulous. I had some of my best years when I did that. And, you know, I walked out of the closing table and I'm looking at their check that I helped them make that money. And I was looking at my check and I said, okay, there's a big disconnect, right? So that was my foray into real estate investing back in 2013. And we've done fix and flips. I own cash flow properties. And one of the things that I am super passionate about is teaching agents or empowering agents to invest in the thing you sell every day. I mean, we're telling clients how great home ownership is. We see the hedge funds buying up all of these properties. There's a reason they're doing that, right? And so at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, real estate is still your best asset for wealth building, to plan for retirement, and to leave a legacy. So I tend to talk really fast, and I know we've only got 30 minutes. And okay, yeah, let us know if you have any questions. So I'm going to give you a quick example of how I acquired 2 properties during the pandemic with no money out of my pocket. Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. And a lot of times as real estate agents, you know, we want to tell clients what is best for them when sometimes we just need to be quiet and listen to them. So I had a woman that I met, oh, I don't know, probably in 2015 or 2016. And she had come to me to list a property that she had. It was a rental property. She was tired of being a landlord, and she just didn't want to do it anymore. So I met her at this property. I walked through it and I told her, at the end of the day, you're upside down, right? And these are actual numbers. She owed 90, and back then the property was worth 70,000. So I said to her, look, is your tenant giving you a hard time? She said, no, she's great. She's been here for forever. I said, leave it alone until the market turns around. She followed me on Facebook. I did not keep in touch with her. She would comment on some of my stuff. I'd comment on some of her things. And in January of 2020, before the pandemic hit, she had reached out to me and she called me out of the blue. And she said, do you remember that property I had, you know, over on XYZ Street? And I said, yeah, absolutely, I do. And she said, God told me it's time to sell. The guy next door put lipstick on a pig. And it's just time to sell, and I'm tired of being a limp. I said, great, let me pull the numbers for you. So I'm walking into an appointment, I'll pull the numbers for you. And so she was no longer upside down. So the guy next door, because they're attached townhomes, did more than put lipstick on a pig. But I told her, I said, all right, he sold for 123, maybe we can get you 110. you know, you're still doing okay. And then I mentioned, or maybe I'll buy it. And I'm sitting there going, how the heck are you going to buy this? But anyway, um, we met. I went out to the property. And that's when she explained to me she just wanted to walk away. She said, do I need to, you know, do I need to get the tenant out? How are showings going to work? Can she stay? And I said, look, if we put it on the market and we list it, it all depends on the buyer. If it's an investor buyer that wants a tenant, if it's a homeowner that wants to move in. And her main concern was not to displace her tenant that had been a great tenant. So we walked through everything. The house hadn't been updated since like the 1970s. It still had the mustard appliances. And we walked and she said, I want to do that thing that you talked about. And I wasn't sure what she was talking about, but then I realized she just wanted to hand me the property. She said, I want to walk away. Um, she said, I was thinking five. And I thought to myself, I knew she meant $5,000. And I thought she wanted me to pay her $5,000 to take over a property that had a tenant that was cash flowing, like $50 a month, but it was cash flowing. Um, and I came down the stairs and she's like, no, I want to pay you $5,000. And I said, wait, what are you talking about? She says, no, I want to pay you $5,000 because you have helped me so much. And I said to her, I'm thinking to myself, I haven't done anything but tell you the truth. And that's when I asked her what was going on with her family. And I knew about her kids and one was in the military. And her thing was, how do you remember all of this? And I build relationships. My business is 100% referral based. Um, so I told her I couldn't do that. I didn't feel right doing that. So I told her I would take $2,500 to pay for the deferred maintenance. I took over the mortgage, which the property, I said, is probably worth maybe about, well, it was in as is condition, it was probably worth what she owed on it. So I took over the mortgage, which is something that's called subject to. And I highly suggest you guys look into it, get familiar with it. No, it's not illegal. It needs to be done right. Pace Morby is one of the big gurus out there. But at least get familiar with it. And so I took over the property with the tenant in it. And we closed March 15th, right as the world shut down. And I thought, oh my God, what the heck just happened? And we upped the rent $100. So we were very blessed. The tenant stayed in there. She never skipped a beat. She paid her, you know, rent on time. And that property that we took over for 90, I still have. So that is an infinite return, right? Because I didn't put any money out of my pocket. And we're cash flowing about $700 a month net now. We've rehabbed it. She's moved out. We have someone else in it. And so simply by helping someone and listening to them, I got a rent. And then she kept calling me every month about her other property. I did wind up also getting her other property, which she paid the mortgage for 6 months while I rehabbed it. So it's all about solving problems. And I am a huge proponent. I'm working on another one right now. And so when people, you know, come to you, there is a way that you can make it a win-win for both sides. You know, and like I said, in those particular properties, I took over, the mortgage was worth what the property was worth. The one I'm working on right now, if I can get it done before the foreclosure, I'm not sure. They've agreed, or rather I've agreed after we rehab it, that I'll split the profits with them. So I know that's a lot. I do have a book that's on Amazon. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. I'm happy to send you guys a PDF copy of it. But who's got questions? Because this is only 30 minutes. Okay, I talk pretty fast, so it's 2:09. Who's got some questions for me? You know, what can I help you with? So feel free to unmute or feel free to, you know, raise your hand, put your cameras on, and yeah, let's roll. Hey, Jessica.
Hey, my first question is, where are you finding those leads? Because I'm referral based, but I don't really have anybody that's in foreclosure yet, or.
So I network a lot, right? I don't do, you know, the leads. This was someone who back when I was doing, when we were fixing and flipping in 2014, 2015, I started doing a local meetup once a month. And so I would just post it on my Facebook and she started coming to my meetings. That's how I met her. And then we realized we had, you know, friends in common. The one that I have now that I'm working on now that I'm not sure, they're kind of in denial that they're in foreclosure. It's word of mouth. it's word of mouth. And so, if you go, I haven't gone in a while, but if you go to your local RIAs, and you just start talking to people and tell them, hey, I can maybe help someone avoid foreclosure. Let me be a resource. And that's pretty much what I was to this woman. I was a resource for her whenever she'd call me, and I told her the truth. I think most agents would have wanted to try to put a sign in the yard. That does not always solve the problem for a seller. I had another one in November that we tried to get it done. It was one of my mentees, and we had been on a listing appointment a year before. And they waited and waited and waited and waited until we were, it was the Tuesday before foreclosure. In Georgia, they are the first Tuesday of every month. And they just dragged their feet and they wound up losing it because I told them we have to have the loan reinstated by Friday to get this done. So that's subject to is kind of my niche. There's also, you can do seller financing. So you don't always need a lot of money in order to get into some of these properties. It just depends.
Okay.
Let's see. I met you and you're at the Wolfpack. Yes, I asked. So yes. So I had done the Armando Montalongo program a long time ago. So yes, Blanca, that is correct. We met back in 2013. That's awesome. All right, who's got any more? Please ask me questions, please.
So most of the people you meet are in some sort of distress, and it's whether or not they think they can sell without extenuating circumstances, like or renovate, deferred maintenance, repairs, etc. And that's where you come in.
Yeah, and so it just depends, right? Like, so for example, the two that I got, like I said, I wound up getting her other property. She wasn't in any kind of distress whatsoever. The mortgage was on time. She was caught up on everything. She had great credit. She just didn't want to be a landlord anymore. And in her case, her family was in Florida and she just wanted to move and
Okay.
make sure that her tenant wasn't displaced. And so it's rare. I mean, that was probably, one off. And the other one that I took over from her, it had been vacant for 3 years. She paid a mortgage on a property that was vacant for 3 years because the property management company had left such a bad taste in her mouth that she was like, I'm done. So in that particular case, at the end of the day, I put another $900 back in her pocket.
Right.
I rehabbed that one. It was about 18 grand. It was easy. Then I did a cash out refi. So I recouped my money and then I wound up selling it. We had a tenant in there for a year and I sold it. And we took over the mortgage. It was about 90,000 between the first and the second. And we sold it for a year later, 14 months later for 198,000. So that was a nice little, chunk of change back into, my pocket. And I do a lot of my stuff in a retirement account. So I didn't pay any capital gains tax on that because I do most of my investing in what's called a self-directed account. Let's see. Any experience with wrapping those sub 2 deals? I have not done that yet. That is not something that I have done. I try to get in, do what I need to do, and then refi it. So the ones I have now, I refi them because I got lucky and rates were low, and we're in 4% mortgage, rates, which is crazy.
Lorraine, do you still using the things that you learn, even the calculators, whenever you have a property that you want to buy in order for you to make sure that is a good investment?
100%. So one of the things, I think the reason that there's a love-hate relationship between real estate agents and investors, at least, what I found is that real estate agents don't really understand how an investor thinks. They think, oh, $50,000, that's enough of a spread. It's not. So yes, I still run my numbers depending on the market at either 65% or 70% of ARV. For those of you that don't know what that means that you take, let's just use 100,000. It's an easy number, right? If a property when it's finished is worth $100,000, I am looking to buy that property for $60,000, $65,000 or $70,000 maximum, all in, including all of my repairs and, you know, holding costs, which I think is the part most agents don't really think about it. You know, they'll see an investor flip the property and they'll think, oh, they just made $150,000. I'm going to go lowball them. Well, you know, they paid closing costs when they bought it. If they borrowed what's called hard money, which is asset-based lending, they're probably paying, you know, 12, 13, 14% on that money, right? Then they've had to turn on the utilities to have the work done. They're paying the prorated taxes, and then they're paying an agent to sell it on the other end. So at the end of the day, they didn't net as much as most people. Like, we just look at the numbers and we think it's quick. So I haven't done anything in the Atlanta market except for getting those rentals in terms of a fix and flip, because it's just the wholesalers in Georgia are looking to make 30, 40 grand, and I can't make the numbers work. And if the numbers don't work, I'm not going to do the deal. I'm just not going to do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth my peace of mind.
Do you use a contractor to get the estimate as to the repair costs, or do you do it yourself using the method that we used to use back then with how many doors and these doors or windows or whatever? How do you do
Yeah.
it nowadays? I never went to and get the calculator and all that. I just kind of learning off, but never went to that stream like you did and your husband, which I congratulate you. So it was fun when I saw you. I said, yeah, I know.
Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So I've gotten to the point that we have done enough renovations. Although, like I said, I haven't done one since COVID, and the numbers have gone through the roof. But I got to the point because I was at one point I was managing 5 fix and flips for, you know, we're Armando students, and I got to know very well what prices were. And so I can pretty much go into a property and, based on the amount of work that it needs, come up with my own estimate, because a lot of the contractors, depending on where you are, right, it's state by state, but a lot of the contractors in Georgia were getting to the point that they were charging you to go out and give you an estimate. Right.
Yeah.
And if you start doing that, that can get pretty pricey. So like I said, for the most part, I got to where I knew, you know, what HVAC, what a complete HVAC, you know, install costs. I know what a roof costs. I know, you know, windows were at about $300 a window. So I knew all of that. And, you know, knock on wood, I was pretty much always generally within about $5,000 of the estimates that I got. So, you know, that was
Good.
just great. Now I'm kind of shocked with some of the numbers I've seen on things.
Yeah, I'm scared to start investing, even though I'm a realtor and I do it for all my investors. But I don't know why I have that, you know, I'm just frozen. And it's like, because it's my money probably. I'm just afraid that I don't know enough in order for me to go and purchase a property as an investment and then ended up losing the money. And I think that that's what it has stopped me to sell properties that I think, oh my God, this is a good deal, and give it to a you know, an investor instead of buying it myself, having the cash sitting in the account. It's just that I'm afraid, and that is the truth. And I
Yeah.
don't know how to get rid of that.
Blanca, what market are you in?
Louisiana, New Orleans.
Okay. So, it's hard, and you just have to do it. So, for example, when we were in San Antonio, we bought a deal that was on, we did a bus tour that was on the bus. We bought a deal that was on the bus tour. There was a realtor there who said, hey, you know, these are the numbers. I didn't agree with her numbers. We made an offer. It was a foreclosure back then. We made an offer. I came back. I ran my own comps. I didn't agree with her. And so we terminated the contract. Bank came back and said, hey, have them make us an offer. So we made an offer. I think it was like $40,000 lower. And they accepted it. So do bad things happen to good people? 100%. We lost our butts on that deal. We wound up losing $70,000 out of a retirement account.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, and that was our second deal. First one we did was in Hilton Head. This was our second deal. And being a realtor, I put in as many precautions as I needed, including asking the realtor that sold the house. And I said, hey, what do you want to manage the project? And she said, you're buying it with me, you're listing it with me. I don't want anything. And I said, no, I'm also a realtor. I know what it takes to manage a project. And so she says, I live a couple of blocks away. I'll go buy the property. She never went by the property. She never checked on it. We put it on the market. No, before we put it on the market, contractor, we fired him. I kept getting the same pictures of the same wall. She never went by. We fired him and he stole everything out of the house, the water heater, the toilets. And we had it for 14 months with hard money, and we dropped the price 50 grand, and then we just ripped off the band-aid. We said, we're done. So
Wow.
does it happen? Yeah, it happens. And I still sometimes think, I was like, I knew all of the precautionary steps to take and I did my best. But we've made it back since then, and everyone is still hard. And no matter which one I still do, I still stress about it. But when I saw that I did it for all these other people, I said, okay, they've done everything based on my numbers. So, yeah. So, I mean, feel free to reach out. I'm going to drop something in the chat because I do have permission. So if you guys want a copy of my book, I'm happy to send you the PDF. It's on Amazon. I kind of go through how I've acquired some of my properties. It's real short. And, you know, I also have like a quick like retirement guide for real estate agents. So how to, let's see, how to, okay, Marcelino, no, wait. Can you talk more about how to save on capital gains taxes through a retirement account? So there is, and I have a great contact for that if you guys want it. I set up a self-directed account back in 2013. So when we did that flip that we lost our money on, and we've since done most of our investing through there, we set it up. It was an old 401k from a former employer that we rolled into a self-directed account. And there's multiple steps. So if you do a 401k, a self-directed 401k, or you do a self-directed IRA, you can use it for real estate transactions. And any money that you make comes out of there and it goes straight back in there. So those monies can never hit your personal account. And I'm making this very simple, but again, I've got the resources. If you need them, feel free to, like I said, message me on Facebook or whatever. So in terms of a 401k or an IRA, any capital gains tax or any growth, you pay taxes when you pull the money out. If you do a Roth, when you're using dollars that are already taxed, anything that is in a Roth IRA, I just did a private loan to somebody, anything that's in a Roth IRA, that money grows tax-free. So it's taxed when it goes in, right, as income. But when I take it out and all that growth, that's all tax-free. I mean, that's how, if y'all remember, and I'm not getting into politics, but like Mitt Romney had like all this money. That's how he did it. They knew how to shelter, you know, their the monies, and they knew how to make it grow. And then of course, hire a fantastic CPA. Mark Kohler, I think, is in the Lab Coat Agents Facebook group. He is fabulous. He has a ton of YouTube videos. On his YouTube channel, I've actually had him speak at one of my events, and he is fantastic. So a good CPA is you know, also important. So for Advanta, so y'all go check this website out because I can't like look and talk and type. If you guys go to Advanta, ADVANTAIRA.com, I believe it is. They have a ton of resources. And if any of you guys are interested in setting up any of those accounts, I have become really good friends with one of the gals over there that sets up the retirement accounts, because she's also a real estate investor. She also invests in crypto. So I love the fact that she was actually a client that went to work for them. So happy to share, you know, whatever resources I have. Anybody else? Jake, is there anybody on Facebook asking any questions? Because I'm not seeing it stream. None yet. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else can I tell you guys about? That's been like my 11 years of a journey, like really crunched down. The other thing I will also say, I am constantly attending events. I am constantly investing in myself. I know a lot of agents, and it's interesting because I had a conversation with a couple of ladies and they're like, oh my God, I can't spend $5,000 to attend an event. Like that should go for my kids. Well, if you're empowering yourself, right? And if you're spending on money on yourself and you're educating yourself more, then you can have a greater impact on your family in the future. I went to a capital raising event in September. And yes, I paid to go there. I flew there, but the relationships that I built and the contacts that I now have they're priceless. We're now collaborating on bigger things. I'm actually on the advisory board for a tiny home community in Central Florida. And so I am part of that because development is something that I want to get into. And I would not have met that person or had those relationships if we had not been in the same room. Because at the end of the day, the folks that really want to level up, they've got the capital and they'll invest it, in themselves. So don't be afraid to do that. Like I think as real estate agents, we spend all the time in like our industry and what we do, but go learn about something that you don't know. Capital raising was something I wanted to do because also when you get out there and you start doing things, I have had clients reach out to me to say, hey, Lorraine, I see what you're doing. I work full time, but I want to invest with you, right? And I want to lend you some of my money. And so I'm not going to do that unless I know I have the proper paperwork and the knowledge to have the proper paperwork and the contracts and, all that stuff in place. Because at the end of the day, I treat other people's money better than I treat my own because I can't sleep at night. So anything else? Where are we at? We've got like 3 minutes left, guys. Come on. Oh, no, nobody. Novations. I have not done novations. So the one I am working on now, Marcelino, you're my kind of guy. The one that I'm working on now that is in pre-foreclosure, novations, I haven't done one yet, but novations is what I am, trying to work on. I'm not sure if we can do that. So in a nutshell, yes, novations is, and I may leave some of this out, so don't hold me to this, but in a nutshell, novations is you buy a property, and then you split the profits with the owner after you sell it. That's just a real basic. So it's a win-win, right? The owner doesn't have the money to rehab the property, but you're an agent and maybe you've got some partners and you know what it takes to put the property on the market. What finishes need to be done. I mean, we're out there with buyers. We know what buyers want. And then you do the renovation. There's actually an HGTV show with two sisters. I can't think of what it's called, but basically that's what they're doing. It's novation. So you go in, rehab the property, then you decide what that split is. And then when it closes, it's win-win. You win, you've made some money, you got a listing, right? And the seller also wins because they've made more money than they otherwise probably would have. All right. Anything else? Trying to think what am I leaving out or what I've not ventured into the multifamily space. Multifamily scares me. Especially when a lot of people weren't paying their rent. I have some multifamily investors that have kind of gotten out of the game. What else can I think of? Yeah, and then if you're an agent and you make really great money and you don't have the time, I mean, you can become a private lender, for somebody else and then just sit back there and, of course, make sure your paperwork's in place, but, earn 10 or 12 or 15% on your money as opposed to, I saw today a 3-month CD, no, 5-month CD was running 5.25%. So it's all about, where are you in your business? What do you want to do? How are you going to plan for retirement? How do we save on taxes? And just kind of, pulling all of that together because I think unfortunately the brokers just don't do this. Lead gen for these kinds of deals. There are a lot of people like you can hire, there are a bunch of VAs. I've not done this, right? That can skip trace for you. I have a friend of mine who said, hey, you can buy my list and you can have a VA that'll call them and then they can call, vacant properties or absentee landlords, out of state owners, So there's a million and one lead gen, sources for this. Most of my guys that are doing that, they have the full blown system in place, right? They have the they buy the list, they have them skip trace, and then my two of my partners in particular, they have VAs that cold call. You can pull a lot of this stuff also from the MLS, right? Depending on what you have. I know that we've got an option. I think it's through, I don't know if it's Remind. I can't remember. I'm terrible at this. That you can go in and see, okay, who's got the most equity. A lot of the stuff we have access to because we have access to the MLS. And then I think ListSource, I think it's ListSource is one of the companies. I think PropStream, if you use PropStream, I think you can get leads, go find owners' information from there. And what's another one? Black Book REI. I've not used any of these. So Black Book REI is another one that I think you can collect, put in your parameters and collect the data. Of course, you have monthly subscriptions to all of these. Trying to think if there's anything else. That is not my wheelhouse. Even in my own regular real estate business, I'll be the first one to tell you lead generation is not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is building relationships and running the numbers, underwriting the deal, running the numbers, getting the comps, getting the ARVs. I was an appraiser for several years back in New York, as nobody can comp a property like I can. So find what your strength is and then partner with other people and see what their strengths are, and then, come together. Jake, is that my cue? We're at 2:31. Look, guys, I'm going to, like I said, if you want, no, I'm not going to spam you. No, I don't have any funnels. I don't do any of that stuff. If you want a PDF of my book, and you want a little quick, like, realtor's retirement guide that I have a good friend of mine help me put together, I'm happy to send it to you guys. And look, let's refer each other some business as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I appreciate y'all. You guys have a great afternoon. And like I said, feel free to hit me up on Facebook or shoot me an email. I'm easy to find.